Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Now, before we dive into this very special and very late Christmas edition of Forged in Fire, I want to touch base with you, especially since I know not everyone follows me on X or Facebook. Link in the description. So, a while back, I woke up, made my coffee, and booted up the computer, only to be greeted with the notorious blue screen of death. Now, I had already planned on reformatting the system and had backed up a good amount of my files, but not everything. So I tried everything. Safe mode without networking, every trick I knew to get in there and rescue the rest of my files, but nothing worked. So in the end, I had no choice. I had to reset everything right then and there. So once I had got that done, I finally discovered what the heart of the problem actually was. My hard drive was failing. So I had to order a new one, which meant waiting a week. Then came the process of reinstalling programs, digging up old license keys, and rebuilding layouts and sermons I hadn't been able to save. Needless to say, it's been a rough road getting back to normal. Now add in the time-consuming tradition of the holidays, and it makes sense why I haven't been able to release anything for a while. Now that things are finally begin to get back to normal, and only a week left before the new year, I thought it would be best to wait and start fresh in January. But I didn't want to leave you folks without nothing. That's why I'm bringing you this very special, and again, very late, Christmas episode, exploring one of the most debated questions in Christian history. When was Jesus truly born? Now, I'd heard this argument for decades, and it always comes in waves. Lately, I've been hearing it again. Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. So tonight, we're going to tackle that head on. Let's dive into that question. Was Jesus really born December 25th, 1 AD? Or was it another time entirely? Okay, so we all know that Jesus wasn't actually born December 25th. But that hasn't stopped atheists and skeptics from pointing it out like it's a great own against Christians. As if learning this truth is supposed to make us melt into a puddle going, "My life has been a lie." Personally, I blame Hollywood for keeping this narrative alive.
Or witness the birth of Christ?
So if Jesus wasn't born December 25th, why do we celebrate his birthday on that day? One huge misunderstanding is that people think that December 25th was chosen to trick the pagans into Christianity. Now, there is some historical bias for that idea, but it's only partially true. In the beginning, the church didn't even celebrate Christ's birth. Easter was the central feast. It wasn't until the 3rd century that a Christian historian named Sextus Julius Africanus dated Jesus' conception to March 25th. 9 months later, that calculation placed his birth on December 25th. Now, nowhere in the Bible does it say when these events happened. So why March 25th? In the 3rd and 4th century, Christian writers linked Jesus' crucifixion with his conception, believing great prophets lived in integral ages, beginning and ending their earthly mission on the same date. Since the crucifixion was thought to be March 25th, they placed his conception there too. Add 9 months, and you land on December 25th. That's the foundation of the calculation. Now here's where it gets interesting. By the time Christians began honoring Christ's birth on December 25th, Romans were also celebrating Saturnalia, and later the Feast of Sol Invictus, the rebirth of the sun after the solstice. Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, celebrated rebirth of the sun after the winter solstice. Saturnalia, running from December 17th to the 23rd, was a festival of feasting, gift-giving, and social reversal. So by the 4th century, December was already packed with celebrations. When Christians began honoring Christ's birth on December 25th, it wasn't just about the calculation, it was also a bold statement. Christ is the true light of the world, greater than the sun itself. So while the claim that it was simply to con the pagans does have some truth behind it, it's only partially true. The overlap with pagan festivals helped Christianity gain cultural traction, but the original reason was theological calculation. The pagan connection reinforced the choice later. So if Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, when was he actually born? The Bible doesn't give us a date, but history and context helps us narrow it down. The first thing is Herod the Great's death. We know from historical records that Herod ruled from 37 BC till his death in 4 BC, shortly after a lunar eclipse, possibly around March 13th, 4 BC, according to astromatic charts. Now, since Matthew speaks of Herod seeking the child in Matthew 2:3, it's only logical to think that Jesus was born before 4 BC. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who's been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. Matthew 2, 1-3. Now, if we add in Matthew 2:16, where Herod orders the death of all males 2 years and under, it would move Jesus' birth year to around 6 to 5 BC. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time that he had learned from the Magi. Matthew 2:16. The last clue we have is a census. Joseph records Quirinius' census in 6 AD, which had been far too late for Herod. So some scholars argued that Luke was referring to an earlier registration under Augustus, possibly around 8 BC, or meant before Quirinius was governor. Either way, the strongest case is still around 6 or 4 BC. So now that we have a better idea of the year, what about the month and the day? Well, again, there's no official record of the census, so we have to look on how and why censuses were done back then. During that time, censuses did a few things. It measured people's property for taxation purposes, as well as young men for military service. Since the majority of the population were farmers, it only stands to reason that they would want to hold their censuses right after harvest, when crops and livestock could be counted. Combine this with shepherds hanging out in the fields at night from Luke 2:8, and the season fits perfectly, which means that it would have placed our time frame from around late summer to early fall. And because we know that Mary gave birth to Jesus as they were en route to their hometowns, we can surmise that Jesus was most likely born in the late summer, early fall of 6 to 5 BC. We all credit Jesus' death on or around 33 AD, due to astronomical charts and the Passover celebration falling on a Friday. So it's not hard to imagine why many people believe he was 33 years old when he died. But as we've seen here today, there's stronger evidence that he may have actually been older than that. Based on the breakdown of his actual birth, he would have been around 37 to 39 years old when he died. So what do you all think? Do you agree, or was there something amiss? I'd love to know in the comments down below. Also, if you feel encouraged by what you hear today, I'd appreciate any likes, subscribes you feel I've deserved. It really helps out with the algorithm, and it also encourages me. With that all being said, I will end this by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, a wonderful New Year. Sure, it may not be the day of his actual birth, but it's the day that we have chosen to honor the birth of the Word of God made flesh. With that, till the new year, God willing, God bless. Let him who has ears to hear, let us all hear.